I was just thinking from Angel there, because like, if you don't set up Tailwind, you're going to end up in a speed disadvantage, even if you do get the Icy Wind up, because even with the Icy Wind, you're still getting double speed, and at that point, you're just like a multiplier of 1.5 speed, which is effectively a booster energy.
Yeah, and that's a interesting thing about this matchup is both these Tornaduses, neither of them have Mental Herb, and neither of them have Taunt. So they can't stop each other from getting Tailwind up. there is no stopping, and so it might just have
and sounds like Angel's the only thing that has speed control other than Tailwind, because the only thing they have to offer is literally just the Icy Wind.
Yeah, exactly. But regardless, I think basically the only option here, and I could see a little bit of a different option from Richard if you want to mix things up, go for like a double protect turn 1 and then the Tailwind on turn 2, just to not necessarily just mix things up to mix things up, but kind of change some stuff to get your Tailwind up a turn later and stall out a turn of Angel's Tailwind. That's something that you get by having the protect, but it also means that you're wasting that first turn, which I guess it's not that big a deal because there's not really a lot of setup on Angel's side. It could be a nice option if that's what Richard feels.
Yeah, it's just gonna come down to who can identify the player better, because Richard and Angel do play against each other often, or at least get a lot of insight from each other. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna go too much into detail, but they're just fun to hang around with. Let's just leave it at that. We are gonna see the Tornadus Rillaboom switch up from Angel, so Fake Out is at least there as an available option, and will be a repeat of game 1 for Richard with the Tornadus and Ogerpon.
Yeah, and that's the thing here for Richard, is I do think you have that option of the double protect turn 1, just to stall out the Fake Out, let the Tailwind get up your Tailwind next turn. You can also switch out the Ogerpon. It's not a bad idea to get the Ogerpon out of there because it doesn't want to be near these Pokemon right now. It's kind of trapped by Rillaboom and Tornadus. It can't really Terra, it can't really not Terra. But turn 1, the double protect is just fine, and then you can get your Tailwind up, switch someone else in, maybe the Entei.
Instead, here we see no switch ups from either player here. We're just going to see these Protect and Spiky Shield from Richard. So either you're taking a bit of damage with the Spiky Shield contact, or you're just setting up Icy Wind immediately from Angel. Once again, not going for the Tailwind turn 1, trying to feel out this Ogerpon. And now this Rillaboom is in a little bit of a weird spot. Did it go for what I think it did? No, just goes for the Windhammer into the Ogerpon side. Will be taking the damage.
Yeah, and I guess it's a little bit of a surprising move there to go for the Icy Wind again. It means, again, that you're stalling out your Tailwind turn. And maybe both these players kind of know when they want to go for Tailwind, particularly in this matchup. And yeah, I think the Ogerpon has to get out of there.
Yeah, Ogerpon getting out of there for that Entei to cover for that Woodhammer once again, as it did for the Hard Flame Ogerpon initially on the game 1 here. Icy Wind goes on once again, no Tailwind from Richard either. So it's going to be a confirmed speed drop on both Tornadus and the Entei, as it does decent damage to the Tornadus, even though it is super effective. Now, Rillaboom should have the speed advantage here. Nope, okay, it's going to be the Tornadus with the Weak Wind Storm. Does decent damage to both Pokemon, gets some under 50% HP, gets a speed drop on the Rillaboom back from that Icy Wind. High Horsepower is the read option against his Entei. It's great damage, but it's not enough for a knockout.
Yeah, definitely an excellent read there from Angel, although at the same time, you are still not in an ideal spot because the Rillaboom probably going to drop. Well, both these Pokemon could drop to another Bleak Wind. Entei is definitely putting out threat value with the extreme speed. Potentially even knocking out the Tornadus. I don't really know the range there, but regardless, I like the spot that Richard is in, but Angel is definitely, that read definitely got Angel more into this game because now the Entei is at a lower HP level that, obviously Angel knocked out the Entei in the last battle, but at a lower HP level that Angel never really got it at an important point in the last battle.
Entei switching out here, and I'm a little surprised that Richard didn't go for the Tailwind twice there, because I believe the Entei would have been able to outspeed the Rillaboom there, but instead, without the Tailwind, we're going to see the Ogerpon switch in here, and Angel Terras.
I guess to keep one of these Pokemon standing.
Rillaboom to fire!
I like that. Rillaboom's been putting out a lot of value this battle so far, and maybe you'll be able to even switch it out, get the Grassy Surge back in later if you want it for later.
Another Icy Wind lands on both the Tornadus and the Ogerpon. Gets Tornadus under half, and we'll get another speed drop on... on both the Tornadus and the Ogrepon. Oh, the Weakwood Storm missing the Tornadus there. And pivotally, the Terra actually ended up paying off for the Rillaboom there. Now that it's no longer redefined, but it takes another speed drop. And the Woodhammer lands on the Tornadus. It should knock it out, and it will.
Yeah, definitely will knock it out. That means that Angel the Terra weird crits. It means that
and a Rocky helmet as well.
Yeah. It means that Angel can get the.
Oh, the Rocky helmet actually mattered. Yeah,
it does. Wow. Yeah.
So Terra's gone for Angel, but more importantly, Richard can't tailwind anymore.
That is important, and Angel can get the tailwind up. I feel like Angel's in a nice spot. The grassy terrain can't be lasting much longer. It's got to be like 1 or 2 turns left. So it might be the time, if you have the Ogrepon in the back, to bring in that Ogrepon or Angel, try to get the tailwind up, and try to have Ogrepon run over everything remaining.
And it is Ogrepon.
I guess the problem here is that it's kind of... It's not totally read-based here, but whether this Ogrepon stays in or not and terastallizes or not is going to be a big decider here. Also, whether the extreme speed knocks out from this range, that could actually be a question.
Or the Spiky Shield does much of anything here for Angel here. Extreme speed not in range of that Tornadus, unfortunately, as Tailwind now gets set up for Halo, Angel Torres. Don't even say that, sorry. And Ivy Angel was going into the Spiky Shield.
Nice play for Richard there. Nice, not necessarily tempo play, but it definitely slowed things down a little bit. The Tailwind's up, but Tornadus is dropping to extreme speed, and now you kind of put Angel in a 50-50 spot where either you have to use a grass move on a neutral hit or a fire move on a not very effective hit. It's a 50-50 spot here.
Yeah, especially with the Terra coming in here on his Ogrepon. He's going to change his typing to be a pure water type with that body aspect, with the Wellspring Mask shining brilliantly.
This could either look really smart or really dumb.
For both players, because...
For both players.
It's just feeling out where you're going for Grassy Glide, Warhammer, or, you know, anything like Extreme Speed will finish out the Tornadus from that range, though. And let me have a look here. Yeah, it's just Horny Leech or Grassy Glide from this Ogrepon. It is Horny Leech, and he gets the call correct, and it is enough for a one-hit knockout. Oh, wait, no, technically not a one-hit knockout, but 184 HP, and there's another critical hit. I think that one might have mattered.
It might have mattered, but I don't know that it did. That does a ton of damage. You are now in a difficult spot if you are, and now at the very least for Richard, the grassy terrain is down, so you don't have to worry about Grassy Glide.
And Urshifu comes in for Angel. It will be the Rapid Strike form, and Richard's going to bring in the Single Strike form.
Yeah, and this is a difficult matchup to be in for Richard, because the Rapid Strike form has Surging Strikes and Choice Scarf, so it ignores the Focus Sash. And probably one-hit knockouts, and goes faster because of the Scarf. So I think Angel might have this one pretty locked up. Because we saw earlier that Entei almost certainly gets knocked out from this range by Heavy Cudgel.
Well, all that they can do here to anticipate the Surging Strikes is go for the Extreme Speed onto the Urshifu Rapid Strike, but instead, it's going to be the Surging Strikes coming out into the Urshifu of Richard, and that is going to put it well within range. And if Ogrepon can capitalize on this fact that you can double up into the Urshifu, no, it just goes for the Ivy Cudgel into the Ogrepon, into the Entei. It's not enough for the knockout without the boost. Here's Wicked Flow Urshifu. That's not good damage.
Yeah, not going to be enough. I thought that Richard might have found a way out of that, and clearly that did not happen.
There's still a way, but it needs to be an extreme speed critical hit, I think.
I think the issue, I think you're gonna need multiple extreme speed critical hits is the thing.
No, the one would have done it. Or the Sucker Punch is gonna take it.
The Sucker Punch and get the knockout here, but the problem is that you need either the extreme speed or the Sucker Punch to crit on the Ogrepon, because the Ogrepon is going to knock out the Urshifu there, and now this Entei. I think you need the mythical 8 times crit on an extreme speed here. Pick up a knockout.
Okay, I mean, yeah, you probably have to get there because
that you're faster. I don't think the Entei is faster.
Spiky Shield comes out, and I think Angel's trying to anticipate the extreme speed coming out, and instead, Sacred Fire, fortunately for Richard, is not a contact move.
I like the read. That was clean. Still, I'm not really sure what the out here is for Richard. I think the Ogrepon's
Entei's faster. And yeah, that was probably needed a crit there to do much anything. And instead, Angel's going to take game 2. We're going to game 3.
got dicey near the end, but well played by Angel. Definitely played around the wind conditions. Got the tailwind up. Get the Tornadus out of the way and get the tailwind up. I think that's something that probably these players have figured out playing against each other is, okay, getting the tailwind up while the other Tornadus is there isn't that meaningful because the other Tornadus will just get the tailwind up and we'll use that turn for extra momentum. So get the Tornadus out of the way first and then use tailwind. And that's how you kind of adapt to that. And I like that adaptation from each of these players. I guess the question now is, because we saw the Rillaboom lead in the last one for Angel, which altogether worked because it forced the Ogerpon out early.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised about that because I'm pretty sure Ogerpon from that range does take a full power Woodhammer from the Rillaboom unless I think a critical hit happens in that slot.
Yeah, the problem is then that you're threatened by Bleak Wind. Like, you can't really, if you Terrastal, then you definitely drop to Woodhammer, and if you don't Terrastal, then you definitely drop to Woodhammer plus Bleak Wind. So it's not necessarily safe to stay in on that. I guess the question for Richard is, how do you force the Rillaboom out of the way early without putting your Entei in serious danger? Because I think the Entei is a big part of getting rid of that Rillaboom.
I mean, Glimmer can also do it with a potential Sludge Ball.
That is true. That is true.
And it's just like, well, the Glimmer worked game one, but that was more so because Richard had a lot of momentum going in his favor because of Angel's, let's just say, non-aggressive play.
Yeah, the Glimmer didn't end up doing all that much, but it could be a worthwhile lead alongside the Tornadus to try to potentially threaten like a Meteor Beam one-hit knockout onto the Tornadus if it doesn't go for a turn one tailwind.
Yeah, and as we see this
but that's
timer,
just kind of a hypothetical here.
Yeah, it's just a hypothetical here. Both of these players are really... Richard specifically here is actually taking a little while on this timer. He's really stuck on what he's wanting to bring here, and who can blame him? These two play against each other, as we said, and it's hard to read each other.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely very difficult to read someone you've played against so much. Because at some point you've played enough times, you're like, okay, I know what you're kind of thinking about in this situation, and you know what I'm thinking about in this situation. Especially if you've seen the team a lot.
Yeah, and here we go into this game number 3 here for our first of 3 rounds of Swiss here in Gen Challenge 29 here. And we're going to see Tornadus Urshifu come out from Angel, the typical lead that we thought was going to be dominant throughout 2 different regulations. And Richard switching it up again with Tornadus and Fluttermane. This Fluttermane will use his booster energy to activate Photosynthesis for a speed multiplier.
Yeah, and I think I'd call that a read, but I'm not sure from who that I'd call it a read. 2 really nice answers here. Also, I have to comment, this Fluttermane is Taunt, Icy Wind, Moonblast, Protect. It only has one real serious attacking move, and it's that Moonblast, but it is faster. I think both sides need to get a Tailwind turn 1. Because you can't, you need to win the Speed War if you're either of them, and I think Richard wins it here and gets the one-hit knockout with Moonblast.
Yeah, here comes this big Moonblast in this Urshifu. One-hit knocks out the Rapid Strike Urshifu from Angel Torres there with the Tailwind. With that booster energy, importantly, does outrun Choice Scarf Pokemon, which is the basic reason for that move. Rillaboom comes in from Angel, and another thing to note, I believe Angel's Tornadus is faster than Richard's.
Yeah, I think it is, but still, I think at this point, Richard has to feel pretty good about the spot that he's in. You have a lot of options here. I think turn 1, stall out the fake out is just fine. There's not really much that Tornadus can do that is bad for you, and you get to read out something like this.
Angel's going to tear the Rillaboom once again to the fire typing, so Fluttermane's moves are not going to be very effective towards it ever again for the rest of this battle. And Tornadus can somewhat threaten it with the Bleak Wind Storm, as we saw from the game 2 earlier. We're seeing it protect from the Tornadus for the Prankster boost. Will be the first team to protect here on this board, and so will Fluttermane for Richard.
Yeah, I like that turn. It also potentially stalls out the...
Ooh, Icy Wind again from an Angel, so he wants the speed drops, and it's going to be pretty pivotal against this Tornadus war that Angel's gotten himself into, but it might not matter too much against this one with the speed booster. Woodhammer, he wants the Fluttermane gone.
Yeah, I think it stalls out a little bit the mirrored tailwinds, which is nice for Richard. I think the problem here is that you're kind of... You can't really do anything other than focus down the Tornadus unless you're just trying to Icy Wind. Which is an option, I suppose, just getting that speed drop and trying to keep the tornadoes. Wow, that is a ton of damage to tornadoes, actually.
Salary special attack is very high, so it will be doing that much damage, but unfortunately, there is no speed drop on the tornadoes because there's a clover cloak in that slot, and it will be a Icy Wind back on towards Richard from Angel's Tornadoes. We'll be going both Pokemon speed, and it will allow the Bleakwind Storm to miss something, and it double missed.
Oh, that's brutal. That's really brutal.
It is brutal, and here comes the high horsepower onto the Fluttermane. He anticipated to swap out to Entei there, but no Entei to be found.
Yeah, weird choice there, and it means that Fluttermane should still be the fastest thing on the field naturally.
It could be Tornadoes from Angel, actually, because of that Cobra Cloak.
It could be, but even at -1, I think the Fluttermane should still outspeed with the booster energy boost. It should just go back to neutral.
Or we just Grassy Glide it out.
Grassy Glide, yeah, I think the Grassy Glide is certainly going to knock it out.
Yeah, it only goes in that turn. Bleakwind Storm, just a single target move onto the Tornadoes, not enough for the knockout fight yet. It is just going to hang there and land both these Bleakwind Storms. Tornadoes now into red and range at extreme speed. Rillaboom still nowhere to be found, and another speed drop there.
These Bleakwind speed drops for Richard are crazy. The Tailwinds are down now. I wonder if both sides try to get them up again, but the problem is actually Richard's going to be able to come in with the extreme speed and knock out the Tornadoes, stopping that Tailwind from getting up. And Richard can get up the Tailwind in return. There's not, well, potentially a Grassy Glide. I wonder if a Grassy Glide would knock out here, but got the Protect to stall that out.
Yeah, you could just stall it out and just get a bit of time to, reassess the Rillaboom situation. No, Tornado switches out for Angel.
I think that's smart. I think you have to do that if you want.
And then comes Ogerpon.
I think the dangerous thing is just switching in Ogerpon in this spot because there's so much that can harm Ogerpon, and you really need that for the late game.
Yeah, and we've seen already that we're going to see his extreme speed do not too much damage to this Ogerpon, and Grassy Glide was the option towards his Tornadus. Angel still has 3 Pokemon left because the Urshifu was taken down in one turn because of that Fluttermane. Rich has all 4, but now he has a Fluttermane without a speed boost later on, and unfortunately, I think for the rest of the battle, this Rillaboom might have to be the win condition from Angel.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because this Ogerpon is in a really dangerous spot here with no Terrastal, with Tailwind getting up now, but with no Terrastal, Entei is going to do a ton of damage to it. It's just going to be difficult for this Rillaboom to get a lot of
Second fire! Not enough to knock out the Ogerpon there. It is extreme speed range here. It will be Ivy Cone knocking out the Tornadoes here, and I believe it's just telegraphs the high horsepower coming into the Entei.
Most likely, although I think we know that doesn't knock out. No. And it misses. Or no, it doesn't.
It's an animation, don't worry. Yeah, that's not enough damage to knock it out, but a following one will.
Yeah, a following one will, but at the same time...
Grassy Terrain's gone.
Yeah, Grassy Terrain's gone, so no Grassy Glide.
Priority.
Just the
Urshifu. It's the Urshifu single strike coming in here for Richard, so preserving the Fluttermane for the Tornadoes is actually pretty smart if you could get it into the right position.
Yeah, this could be a really dangerous spot for Richard, actually. It is Assault Vest Rillaboom, so you know it has to attack. You can Sucker Punch it, but Sucker Punch won't be enough damage, I don't think.
I wouldn't think so anyway, but I think the safe option is either... I mean, no, you could just get hit by a Spiky Shield if you do end up going for
That's the problem. There's really nothing super safe for Richard. It kind of comes down to reads, where if you force out the Protect from the Ogerpon,
you could just Wicked
double
Blow
into the and then you double, or yeah, actually Wicked Blowing into it could be pretty solid here.
Let's see what happens here. Entei just stomping tantrums. The Rillaboom here is going to do decent damage here. And it will be the Wicked Blow, doubles the Rillaboom, and down it goes.
I mean, we were talking about it. It seemed like the ideal win condition for Angel, and Richard was able to take care of it.
And now we're just down to a low HP Tornadus dealing with extreme speed, Sucker Punch pressure from the Urshifu and Entei from Richard. This might be a wrap for Richard.
Yeah, I think double priority moves. There's really no downside here.
And the Overpunch is protected, and it just comes down to whether or not the Overpunch goes for a double Spiky Shield.
And even if it does, like, there's really nothing it can do about it since a Wicked Blow will eventually come out, or it can just keep following it with Sucker Punch.
Yeah, we see the extreme speed take the knockout. Sucker Punch comes out onto this Ogerpon. It is just going to finish off the game, and Richard Salazar wins round 1 with a 2-1 victory over Angel Torres.
Really exciting battle there, and again, we're talking about this as the last Regulation F thing. Entei, I think, is one of the underrated champs of Regulation F. Is kind of a underrated pick in a lot of cases, but that extreme speed, even with the Assault Vest, it's got really nice attack. Gets a lot of work done. it's good. Entei's pretty good.
Yeah.
Got a lot of work done there.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before we found out, oh, how did it fall off in the metagame? Because it won Portland in Regulation F, the first tournament it got, but then it's like after the tournament it got found out. For Regraph or any way to set priority, it's just been like a godsend for people that just hate Entei or priority. And we see, even still, hyper offense has its merits.
Yeah, exactly. Both these players playing pretty offensive styles and ended up with a pretty fun one.
Yeah, and with that being said, we're going to be taking a quick break here. We're going to go to round 2 after this break. You don't want to miss out. We have so much planned for you in this final Regulation S tournament, including a little feature we might show off later on. You don't want to miss out.